Hi, let's talk about decimals today. But before we can understand about decimals, let's try to do a very simple exercise. Let me try and print out 0.3. Now let me see what kind of output I'm getting. So here it is, I have the output of 0.3. But what happens if we try to increase the precision after our decimal values? So let me go back over here, and here what I can do is I can use my formatted string and I can say I want to see 0.3, but this time I want to see 25 places after my decimal. So let me save it and let me try to run the file, and here we get a value. So as you can see that 0.3 is actually not 0.3, it is 0.299999, and at the last you can see that we have a couple of different digits as well. Now why is this happening? This is called as floating point representation issues. It has to do with the way how numbers are stored and used inside your PCs. Let's try one more example. Let us print out if our 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1 is equal to 0.3. Let me save it and let me try to run the file, and here we have the output as false. Now again, this is because of the same issue which I mentioned right over here. Your 0.1, 0.1 and 0.1, they are not actually 0.3, they are something else altogether. So now how do we address these issues? Suppose you want to have a calculation which demands a very high precision, then what do you do about it? The answer for this is by using decimals. So let me go right over here and let me go to the top. Here I can import from my package of decimal. I want to import the class of decimal. Now let us see what happens if we create an instance of this class. So we can say that we want to create a decimal, and we want to create a decimal for the value of 0.3. Now let me comment all of these things, they are not required. Let me save it and let me try to run the file. So this time you see that we have a giant value. Now what this is doing is, this is in the form of decimals, and decimals provide you with much more precision. If you're wondering how much precision we are getting by decimals, then let us try and find it out. This time what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to use my terminal. Let me clear everything, and I'm going to use IPython. You can also use your Python shell, but I prefer IPython. I think it is much more interactive. And here what I can say is, I can say from decimal I want to import get context, and I also want to import decimal as well. Now let us run this function of get context and let us see what kind of output we are getting. So here you can see that the precision value is 28. So by default your decimal class is going to give you precision up to 28 digits. Well, of course you can also change the precision levels. So here you can say that get context, and here you can say that suppose I want to have my precision only up to 8 values. So here it is, this is how we can set the precision levels as well. Now let me exit my IPython and let us go back to our program. You must be wondering what happens if we try to do this same thing but by using decimals. So let me create a variable. I can say a, and I can say that this is going to be my decimal of 0.1, and let me just copy and paste this. So plus 0.1, again plus 0.1, and let me say that my b is my decimal of 0.3. Now suppose we're trying to print out if my a is equal to my b. Now let us see what's going to happen. Let me run the file, and we get the output as false. Now you must be wondering, we are using decimals. With decimals we have a lot of precision, but yet again we get the output as false. Well, let me go back to my IPython shell and let us see what's happening right over there. So we have the value of decimals, and let us see the kind of output we are getting. Oh, I have to import, so from decimal let me import my decimal. Let me clear the screen and let us try this one more time. So here we have the value, so this is the value that you can see right over here. But suppose I just say that I want to see the decimal value of 0.3. Oh, so this answer is different. So as you can see that we have some kind of variance between these two values. But then if you really want to compare these two values, then how would you do it? Let us go back to our program and let us see how we can do this. So we can compare these decimal values by using the inbuilt package of maths. So here I can say that I simply want to import my maths package. Now here what I can say is maths dot is close, and the first value would be my A, the second value would be my B. Now let us see what kind of output we are getting. So yes, this time we get the output as true. Now why is this thing happening? Again, let us go back to our IPython shell to explore what's happening this time. So let me say that I simply want to import my maths, and the function that I use is called as maths.isClose. Now the beauty of IPython is if I simply put a question mark right over here, that means it is going to show us its documentation. So here what you can see is this function of isClose, it also has two optional arguments. This is for the relative tolerance and this is for the absolute tolerance. Now what is happening when you are saying that I want to compare my A and B, this time the comparison is actually happening with its relative tolerance. Now if you read the documentation, they have a couple of notes for the relative tolerance and also for the absolute tolerance. But in this video I'm not going to cover these things in detail. If you want me to cover all of these things, then make sure you write Python in the comments, which will help me understand what exactly you want. Well, that's it for this video, and before I say bye, you can visit my website, and this is the free course Modern Python 101. And if you really want to exercise your basic Python skills, then you can take my another course which is called as Python Workouts. And if you would like to support me, you can also support me on Buy a Coffee. I will leave all of the links in the description below. Well, that's it from me. See you. Bye.